Welcome back to the Storyboard podcast. I'm Kirby. This is my hubby, Justin. We are married. We are a creative team.
And
we make films.
We started this podcast to talk all things filmmaking and creative.
Today's guest is a dear friend of ours, super talented, also fellow creative that we have worked with over the years. And he's here to talk. He's here to talk creating with us. Oz-Mott, Fi's Alive, Mott John, Ozzy.
He goes by many names.
Welcome, Ozzy.
Oz-Mott, you made it on the Potter.
Finally.
You begged us.
I've been petitioning so hard since the first episode.
It's like, I want it.
No,
if you ever
we
want,
said we needed to wait so that we actually had stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
We needed a gap of time.
We knew each other too well.
Yeah, exactly.
Too well. No, we haven't seen you in like 2 weeks. So
no, we've been seeing each other every week.
We still talk every day.
but that's enough time to go by to where we don't know what's been going on in your life for the past week.
Yeah, not much. So we can end it here.
We're good.
We went from creative team, like shooting, brainstorming, working together to Oz-Mott moving across the country. Not really. He moved 2 hours away.
2 hours away.
Yeah.
To working with a new creative team.
Yeah.
The BPN crew. So
Go
now
on
we
more,
have
baby.
now we have some creative maybe new techniques to talk about.
Yeah. So Oz, or Mott as we call him, his name is Oz-Mott.
AZAMAT.
And everyone calls him Oz, and we're like, let's be different.
And call him
take
Mott.
The second
Yeah.
half of
So
this.
when I refer to Mott, that's who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
But how long have we known each other now? 5 years?
I think
6 years?
since 2020.
5 years?
Yeah.
Or 2019?
No, January 2020 is when I moved
Oh, I
to
thought you
Texas.
moved. So you moved to Texas from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
So we
Yeah.
had been here for like a year.
Yeah.
And then you moved here.
Yeah.
You were like our OG friend from in the creative community here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here in Houston.
That was like the first Southern hospitality I experienced because y'all took me and Alan to Whataburger.
Oh,
Did we really?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
remember
Yeah, we went
either.
to Sugarland Whataburger.
What?
So you're like, have you had a Whataburger?
that
No.
sounds like a very
Yeah.
a very us thing.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. We're like, y'all had
We gotta do
Whataburger?
Whataburger and barbecue probably.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First experience.
Dang, that's crazy. And look at us here 5 years later, and you're basically moved in with us.
Basically.
Our son.
Another
Our son.
thing I've been petitioning for.
To-
Still hasn't been approved, but working on it.
We got to take it up with HR.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ozzy. So Ozzy was working with Everforward and Sour Strips, and we actually worked as office neighbors, office mates for a really long time.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because we got to. It was so fun to have someone that was learning lighting and excited about trying new things all the time, and we could just like pop in each other's offices and be like, "What do you think of this idea? What do you think of this idea?" And bounce
Yeah.
ideas off each other all the time. That was just a really fun. Sometimes I miss those days
I do
because
too.
it was just really fun to be able to like, if any of us had a brain, like a brain block,
Yeah.
we could just like
Brain
hop,
fart.
Yeah, like hop next
Yeah.
door and be like, "What would you do in this situation?"
You know, out of all the things that we know about you, I don't think I've ever actually asked you how you got into cameras or filming or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like around that time, it was just a lot of YouTube people.
How old were you? What year was it?
Well, when I first picked up a camera,
He's like, way back in
1870. No. No, it's probably my junior year of high school in, what's that, 2016? Graduated 2017.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Just watched a lot of YouTube and was like infatuated just with like taking pictures, making videos. And
Did
we
you
had
have
a
any
school
friends
iPad.
or anyone around you that was doing the same thing? Or
No.
you were like the only one interested?
I had musician friends.
Okay.
Yeah. So like SoundCloud rappers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I would make them cover art. I'd download these apps. Like PixArt was one of them on an iPad. Photoshop, and just kind of like do double exposures and Photoshop and like put their name and like the title of the song on there. And seemed to like it. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll keep doing this.
So your background was almost more in like not graphic design, but like the editing side.
Yeah,
first?
that was the very first introduction. And up until then, I was just kind of like mostly interested in music, and then started to go into visual.
What was your
arts.
first camera?
Nikon D30, 3300, 3200.
Do you still have it?
I think no. I sold it, upgraded to a 6D Mark II. So yeah, that was like the family camera, but I just like started using it.
I
Oh,
think
y'all already had it. Like y'all already had the Nikon.
No.
Oh.
They kind of parents kind of bought it a bit after because they saw my interest in cameras, and then they were like, "Oh, we just need a family camera anyway.
Yeah.
Might as well have like a family photographer."
I think everyone starts with a family camera. That's like me too. My parents had the Rebel,
Yeah.
but an old Rebel. Like,
Yeah.
didn't shoot video or anything.
I took your senior photos on your parents'
Yeah,
Rebel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. That was
That's
the
way older.
Rebel.
Okay.
Way older.
That's way older.
I don't think you were born yet.
Yeah, you were in
That,
diapers.
that
probably
Rebel's
still.
older than you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you started shooting just for fun, like
Yeah.
friends, band cover art.
Yeah. There'd be like live performances that my friends would do with like a small record label. It was called Rotation Records. I don't know. I got to check on them.
That's a cool name.
yeah.
Rotation Records.
It's cool, yeah, because the guy who owned it, he would set up like these concerts in these like venues in Philly,
Yeah.
and he was super cool because he would just like let me show up, shoot content, and then all the artists would be like, "Oh, like, can I get some photos?" I'd be like, "That is how much it costs," you know. And
You were probably charging like $50 at the time.
yeah, literally, quite literally, maybe even like $20. And that same night, I would go home, edit the stuff, and send it out just to like make the first impression best that it can be. But yeah, it was good times. It was scary though sometimes because like I would take on projects that would be like music videos in the not so good parts of Philly. A couple of times had like guns pointed at the camera and stuff. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is part of I feel like I always say this, but shooting a wedding and shooting like very shady shoots, not necessarily music videos, anything like, but in a place that you are like, I definitely can't leave anything in my car here.
Yeah.
I feel like
for
those
sure.
are like, oh, that's like a rite of passage, like
Yeah.
in shooting, because it's like you always end up in just in these scenarios. You're like, how did I get here?
But you learn a lot.
Yeah.
Like you learn what you would tolerate and what you would, because like one of the shoots I showed up, the guy was like, "Oh, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go buy new shoes for the shoot." Gone for 3 hours.
And you just waited.
Well, that was like the only way I was making money at the time, so I was like, I kind of have to suck it up and do it.
You were still in high school.
This was after graduating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did you know that you didn't want to go to college, or like when you graduated high school, was the plan always just go straight into shooting?
No, the plan was to go into the military.
Oh, right.
So I enlisted in the Navy straight out of high school, and I didn't end up going like to boot camp or anything like that because they wouldn't send me out for 2 years. And during that time was when I was working full time and doing photo and video on the side. And so I saw that as a sign from God to just be like, okay, this is the direction God wants me to go. Even though I wasn't like a believer in God necessarily at the time, but now looking back, I'm like, okay,
It was like a
Things
gut,
were pointing to that.
instinct, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
Yeah.
now it makes sense.
exactly, yeah. And yeah, so I ended up telling the Navy no, and a month later ended up getting the opportunity to shoot Forever Forward, and then
How did that happen? Like, how did Max see your? Did you just post content all the time?
no. I was following Gary Vee's advice of like posting 3 times a day around that time
On
So-
YouTube or Instagram?
on Instagram.
Okay.
So I did have quite a bit of work on Instagram. And so I DM'd Max because they were coming out for a pop-up shop in New York for Ever Forward. And it was going to be like Christian, Heidi, Shali, Max, everyone coming out at once. And I'd been watching them on YouTube for a bit. And I was like, oh, this would be a great time to just like meet them, say what's up. And so I DM'd Max, offered help to either set up or break down the pop-up shop and just kind of take pictures or make videos. And he got back to me lo and behold, he was like, let's do some test shoots. Like, I guess he liked the work.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's so much to be said about that with like, I mean, we still do that
Mm-hmm.
today, but with not being, I guess, above offering to do not just free work, but just helping, you know? Like,
Yeah,
I
I
think
feel like
there's
that's
a
one
lot
of
to
the-
be said.
That's one of the biggest things that people don't do
Mm-hmm.
well is they're like, hey, let me like come shoot for you. Let me come shoot for you. Like they want something from the person versus
Yeah.
you weren't like wanting something from him. You were wanting to give him something. So I think that's
Yeah.
probably why you were able to get that relationship built was because you were just offering like, hey, I'll come help you set up. Not
Yeah.
even like mentioning cameras or anything like that.
Which I'm kind of surprised that I had that mentality or that heart back then, you know, not having been a believer at the time. And since being saved a few years ago, just like being lowly and, you know, first, last shall be first shall be last, and just kind of like having a heart of service now. I'm just like, dang, that was like a great example of, you know, offering help and that kind of turning into such a blessing to sitting here, you know, having met you guys, which wouldn't have happened probably, or who knows?
Who knows?
It's just the way it turned out. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful. Yeah.
Speaking of like, who knows? You have the coolest story out of anyone because you're only, you're 25 or 26?
25 now. Yeah.
25 now. And you've already lived more life than most people
In their
10 or
70
15 years
of
older than
life.
you. So you're from Uzbekistan
Yeah.
originally,
Yeah.
a
Which,
country that I didn't know existed until you
yeah,
came.
most people probably don't.
You like
Yeah.
type it in on the map. Like,
Yeah.
where
Is this even
Yeah.
real? Yeah.
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 So can you like walk through, I guess you don't have to go into like super detail because I know it's a
Yeah.
lot, but like your journey, like growing up there and like coming to the United States, getting your citizenship and
Yeah.
like meeting all of us, which is, it's just crazy. I always think about it. I'm like, man, like we shouldn't know each other.
Yeah.
And we like,
Which we have so many stories. I'm probably skipping ahead, but we
Yeah.
have so many stories of like moments that all of us, and then even like Nabil and other friends that are from all over,
Yeah.
are in a room or in a car or something, and it's like we'll be in another country and be like,
yeah, I'll never,
how
Yeah.
did this happen?
I'll
Like,
never
how are
forget
we-
when all three of us were filming in Ireland, and it was us, two kids from a tiny small town in Texas, someone from Uzbekistan, and Nabil from the Netherlands.
and even Rob from Ireland.
But all four,
yeah,
of
the
us
four of us
were
were in a
in
car.
one car, like listening. I don't even remember what we're listening to, like
country.
Probably Morgan Wallen.
yeah,
or
like
something.
singing at the top of our lungs, driving in the middle of nowhere, Ireland. And I'm like, this moment should not exist. This is
Yeah.
like
This is a
crazy.
glitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cool. But yeah, like
Sorry.
what?
No, that was awesome.
I don't know. Just can you talk about like your journey here?
Yeah. So we have this rare metal called vibranium. No, I'm kidding.
You're like, shh.
Yeah, it's like Wakanda. It's very secretive. But yeah, I was born in Uzbekistan and lived now less than half my life. Last year I crossed more time having been in the States than I was in Uzbekistan.
Oh wow,
Just recently. Yeah.
that's crazy.
yeah, last summer.
Yeah,
But yeah, I lived in Uzbekistan until I was 12. Mostly lived with my aunt and uncle, grew up with them because my mom was in the States, and then my dad was in the States too for a bit, but then just kind of things happened, this and that. My mom ended up, you know, years later when I was 12, from the age of 4 until 12, she worked on like getting me and my sister to the States, and finally came to the States. New York City was like first thing you see, and it's something you only see in movies. You see the skyscrapers. I'm like, holy crap, this is actually real. Because I thought it was like the Truman Show, you know, just kind of like, this is what
Like
there
a
is.
little
That's
bubble.
it. Yeah, exactly. But then you actually see these buildings that I'd seen in like Home Alone or Men in Black and all
which
these
is funny.
movies.
If we pause right there,
Yeah.
and you notice the films that he referenced: Truman Show, Men in Black, Home Alone,
From a different generation.
all in
Yeah.
the '90s, like all movies that we grew up with. But
We're 10 years older.
yeah, 10 years older. You had movies from the '90s,
Yeah.
when you were a kid.
Just later on. Yeah.
Which we never realized until later in our friendship, that so much of like why we connect on movies and music and stuff is because you had that, like other people that we talk to that are 25, like we mentioned bands or movies and they're like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
And we just feel like, oh, we're in a different generation. But
Yeah.
you grew up on stuff because you said in the United States, like the stuff we were getting here, or the stuff you were getting in Uzbekistan, was delayed by like 10
later
years.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild because like my stepdad and I grew up on the same stuff too.
Yeah.
But he's my stepdad, so
Yeah.
it's just like we're almost like this like cool like friends sort of thing, you know. But yeah, me and my uncle would pick me up from school in Uzbekistan. We would listen to Michael Jackson. Like, they don't really care about us. He'd be like, "Oh, like, should I play it?" I'd be like, "Hit it." And that was our song every single day when he picked me up from school.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
happened to be.
Did you watch a lot of movies in Uzbekistan?
I did.
Yeah.
A lot of the movies that I did watch, like I watched Harry Potter and
Yeah.
Star Wars, in Russian, so it would all be played and accessible to me through these like Russian channels that we had through cable and whatnot, or satellite. So I could understand what was going on to a degree, and it was really weird when I came to the States and watched those movies in English and like them speaking matched their mouths. You know, I was like,
because
"Whoa,
all
this
you
is
had
interesting."
known was it not matching.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And you
So
learned English by just being submersed here in it.
I
right?
got thrown in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would ask my mom, "Hey, like, are we going to go to a Russian school when we go to America, or how's that going to work?" And yeah, she just took us to a public school and we were just there trying to figure it out, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, you know, just a
Yeah,
Uzbek
I can't
kid.
imagine. I mean, the closest, I didn't have that experience, but my dad came from Cuba when he was about the same age and didn't speak English, only knew Spanish. And like the stories that him and my grandparents told me of, like, yeah, there's no lessons. It's like they just throw you in school and figure it out. I mean,
And
I
that's
guess
the
that's
best
the
way.
fastest way to learn.
That's
yeah.
the best way to learn.
Yeah,
I mean,
when you're
it's-
just surrounded by it and you're like, if I want to survive, I have to understand these
it-
people.
It's exactly that. It's survival mode where you just get thrown in. You either figure it out or you just don't, and you feel like you're kind of, I guess, falling behind in life.
Yeah.
But you're not.
But it's cool because I feel like, I mean, you grew up really fast, I think, because of your childhood of like having to come here, having to like kind of restart.
Yeah.
And even now, like you moved here you moved to Texas when you were 18?
20?
19.
19. Yeah. So like you just jumped
Yeah.
at 19,
Yeah,
got your own apartment. I think you had a roommate, but
I did.
I mean, still got your own
He
apartment.
was on prep, so
Literally like,
Knew no
shell
one.
of a-
No one here.
yeah, knew nobody here.
Yeah.
And like, you didn't have a car, did you?
I didn't. So for the first month or two, I didn't have a car, and I purposefully got an apartment really close to the office and the gym, so I could, walk. So for a few weeks I would walk, but then Max had his two-door Jeep that he bought to build, and so he was gracious enough to like let me drive that. So sometimes I had access to a two-door Jeep, which was really fun, and Alan would also let me borrow his car. But yeah, some days I would just like walk to work, and it was fun. It was good days. I mean,
Yeah, it's cool because like the difference between like when you moved here and then like us helping you move to Austin,
yeah,
it was like you came here with nothing and you like acquired everything
much.
here.
Well,
Too
no,
much.
not even. That's such a cool
Yeah.
like physical representation
Yeah.
of growth. Like actually
That's it,
needing
yeah.
a
I
U-Haul
didn't think
and
about
having
that,
like
yeah.
furniture
Yeah.
and like clothes. And I mean, not that you didn't.
Like you
come
came here with a
clothes, but-
suitcase.
I had no
You
clothes.
literally
Yeah.
you bought your bed here.
Yeah.
You bought your furniture, your
Two
TV,
beds.
everything. Like you
Yeah.
bought here.
Yeah,
And then like I guess that was like your first proper move to Austin.
that was
That was cool.
a big one too. Yeah,
Yeah.
a big one too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so. I mean, I know we joke all the time about you being our son, but sometimes I really do feel like a proud mom when
No,
there's just
yeah.
these like milestone moments of like, oh my gosh, like to go from us getting to know you to like connecting on obviously on like creativity, and then like getting to be there when you turn 21, like oh my gosh, like now he's an adult, he's 21, whatever.
Which, by the way, I took one shot, had a margarita. I was asleep by 7 p.m. on
Yeah.
my 21st
What a,
birthday.
He was
what
done.
a lightweight.
Wow. You're done.
But yes, continue.
And then like I don't know, just getting to see it's really cool just getting to see your growth, like your faith journey and everything throughout the years. But I mean, it's weird even earlier when we were like, oh, we've known you since 2020. I feel like we've known you our whole lives. Like
Yeah.
there's moments that I think back and I'm like, oh yeah, Ozzy. I'm like, oh, we didn't even know Ozzy.
Yeah.
Like I was at your guys' wedding.
Yeah.
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 That's what, yeah, we say that with a few of our friends that we're like, surely they were there. And it's like, no, that was a different lifetime. It was crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Time goes by way too fast.
Yeah.
Too fast.
It's insane.
So were you intimidated by, okay, you moved to Texas, you had an apartment, you didn't know anyone. Did you feel lonely, intimidated? Did you feel, or you were mostly just like excited and like consumed by trying to learn everything? Like how did you?
I mean, I think that first year of being in Texas was just filled, one, with excitement of just like being around pretty much like the hub of like the fitness world at the time, even now, I mean, at Alphaland. But it was also filled with fear because I was like, oh, I got this opportunity and I don't want to mess it up. So it was a lot of unhealthy habits of just like staying and working unholy hours and
Yeah.
and just like sleeping little and not eating as much, getting stressed out, and
I would
continuing
say
that for a while.
all of us at that time had a little bit of that. I think because at the time there was so much pressure, because we were the same way in the opportunity of like, we felt so fortunate to have the opportunity that
Yeah.
we were afraid of losing it.
Yeah.
And like when you're acting out of fear, there's a difference in working in confidence and working out of fear, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that at the time, us and then Nabil and everyone that we were around was kind of in that, like we were afraid of losing it.
Yeah.
And it caused us to have some really unhealthy habits of like
Yeah.
Very.
constant work and not
Well, yeah, I
having
mean,
a life.
All of us, even when Nick was there, we
Yeah.
were all up. I mean, it would be like 2 a.m. We're up at the office, just
Yeah.
like editing and
It was good and bad because the hard part is we were with our friends that we loved to be around, doing what we loved. And we were like, it's a job. So we were making money. So it was hard to say, what could be wrong? What could be bad about this? You know?
Yeah.
But when you look back and you zoom out, you're like, that's not sustainable and it's not healthy, like long term.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
But we just like lived up there. Just
It was almost like a just kind of swinging the far, spectrum of just like working to an unhealthy degree and then dialing it back maybe too much sometimes and just like coming back and finding a sweet spot, which I feel like now we have an idea of what's healthy and what's not. But it was some great memories. I feel like also drinking energy drinks late at night was just like the cool thing to do. It'd be
Yeah.
like posting it on stories.
That's what I meant. It's
Dumb.
like we were around each other all doing it too. So it's kind of like not peer pressure, but it
Yeah.
felt normal.
It's like
It felt like
everyone's-
everyone's
Yeah,
doing
we didn't
it.
know
Yeah.
anything else. That was like only what we
I don't
knew.
regret it, but
Yeah.
it was definitely a wild time.
hmm So you were like kind of working here in Houston majority of the time with like Max, Sour Strips, Everforward, that whole thing. And then like you did freelance thing. Do you feel like you grew as a creative and as an artist in these last 5 years?
I think so, yeah. I mean, my vision for the future has definitely shifted over time, as it does for a lot of people, all of us really. And the first 3 years of like working with Max at Sour Strips, it was very just like Photoshop, photography, and like graphic design heavy, and some video. And more, I was like, I think I'm leaning towards video and film more. So that shift happening kind of made me realize, I feel like I didn't really grow in the direction that I would want to grow now. But again, those experiences and that growth that definitely carries over to film, and just having like that different eye or different look and things that I pay attention to.
When did you make the shift? I mean, not that it was overnight, but what year would you say that you shifted from like the light bulb moment of like, no, I love video more?
Yeah, I would say probably a year after we brought on help on Sour Strips, when we brought on Corey to do the content, the photos and stuff, because I just didn't want to do photos anymore. Like being in the studio, some people love it, but for me, just to like be in a studio with inanimate objects, with flash, and just like being there for hours and then photoshopping every single little detail It was just like, okay, I can't do this for too long. So then I Max was gracious enough to like bring on Corey so that I didn't have to do it and focus more on video. And then I would say leaving working full time at Sour Strips, that was like the biggest moment where I was like, okay, I'm going to focus more on video and turning down like photo work at times, which kind of didn't want to because I was like, oh, like I could get paid for this, but
yeah, that's a hard thing. I feel like
really
a lot
scary.
of people deal with, and we deal with too, is like when you want to grow in a specific area, but you can do, and you're good at another thing.
Yeah.
So it's like at some point you got to make the decision to, it's like, oh, like I can do photos and video, but I don't want to get known as that. I want to get known as video. So you got to start turning away those photo jobs to try to get more and bigger video jobs. And it's really hard. And even down to minute, like for me personally, turning down videography jobs to try to get directing jobs specific. It's scary. It's hard.
Which I do want to, compliment you on that, because like to me that's such a hard thing to do, to be like, especially when it's your livelihood, it's your income, your main source of income, to say no to these things. Because like sometimes I'll be like, hey, like do you want to take on this project, and you'll just be like no, and I'll be like, but you can make money from this, but at the same time, like it takes some big cojones to be like, hey, like I gotta focus on the goal and not be distracted and just like be sidetracked by this.
It's so hard. Yeah. And I think like for me, I've seen what that does to me, because I'll get stuck in like making money or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, like I'll get comfortable, and I know I can always go back to that. And I don't want to do that. I want to always keep growing. So taking the hard path is definitely like, it's not easy, but
which is great. Yeah. Cause then you're not relying on your own understanding, relying on your own abilities to make a living. And that's definitely like made me see faith and like trusting God in such a different light. Just being able to be like, okay, so far I've been able to, survive and like be provided for, and I'm going to continue to be provided for.
Yeah.
And it's like all the stress just comes from like feeling like it's all in your hands, so it's almost like freedom and letting go.
I think when you see the cycle like repeat multiple times too, I mean, we still always are going to have like so much to learn, but whenever you've gone through it, I guess since we've been shooting for so long and we've made the mistake so many times, it's like you eventually learn. Like,
oh yeah,
I feel like when you've gone through it and you're like, okay, take everything, make as much money as you can, and then you get burnt out, or then you start feeling discouraged, and then you're like, I'm not being true to myself or fulfilling my passion, and then it's like all these things start pointing to like, I need to realign.
Yeah.
And it's like you start back over again. Like it's like the cycle just continues.
We've done it several times.
Yeah.
Like we did it we had our portrait business where we did families, seniors, weddings, everything. And then there was a point where we're like, we don't want to do weddings anymore. But it was very scary because weddings were a big part of our income.
Our biggest, yeah.
But we're like, if we keep doing weddings, more weddings are going to come, and we're going to get less known for this. At the time we wanted to do seniors.
Yeah.
We're going to get less known for seniors and more known for weddings. So we had to take that hit. And then even after doing that, after that again, we're like, we don't want to shoot anything for the general public anymore. We want to shoot for businesses. So we had to like give up our whole thing
to do commercial.
That was a huge hit. That was the hardest one, I think, because we had a pretty successful business. And
it's almost like when you can go back to like, it's like, I mean, we still talk about this all the time. It's like something's there and it's there, but it's no longer like serving you. And I could go back to that as like the easy route, not easy, but like familiar, comfortable.
Yeah.
Or do the harder, scarier thing that you feel like that God's calling you to, or that you're being led to go towards. And then it's like, okay, every time that uncomfortable feeling creeps in, we're both like, dang it.
And
like, here we go again.
I feel like when you're being called to something different, I don't want to say better or anything, but something different, the thing that you're most familiar with gets easier to come by. So it's like
all of a sudden all these people are knocking on your door.
If you know you're like, okay, I'm being called to quit photography and go straight into video, all of a sudden all the photography jobs are going to start popping up. And it happens like that every single time, I
Yeah.
feel like. And it's like, it's almost like a test. Like,
Yeah.
keep your eyes forward. Don't divert.
I feel like it's almost like a image for marriage. You know, if you have this goal that
You saying if you get a girlfriend, a bunch of girls come knocking on your door or what?
yeah, basically yeah. It's like once you have this goal of like for you being a filmmaker, right? You start having all these opportunities show up, and if you start to take on everything, then it's almost like you're prostituting yourself out, you know, instead of just like being committed to that goal that
that's
is your
true.
life's
And
purpose.
sometimes you subconsciously do that out of fear. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes you take on a lot as a distraction from what you know, like you should be doing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of easy for your brain to be like, well, I'm still being productive and I'm still really busy and I'm still making money. But it's because you're actually afraid of doing like the thing that you know you really should be
So
doing.
I love that quote. And I probably don't get it right every time, but it's a familiar hell is better than an unfamiliar heaven. Because you could be in something really bad. You can take that with anything in life. You could be in a bad relationship, but because it's familiar, your brain's going to think, oh, I want, like, that's what I want.
Safe.
Versus
It's
like,
comfortable. You go back to it.
yeah,
Creatures of habit. Yeah.
if you just take that step, there could be a whole heaven over there that you have no idea, but you just got to take that first fearful step and go over there and see and just get over that hump. And I feel like you can apply that to anything in life. You
I
can,
would say that's why, if not everyone, 99%, if not everyone, like that is the reason that people don't do whatever the scary thing is. Because it's just like,
it's unfamiliar.
I know what my life looks like doing this every day, even if you hate it. Like you might hate your job. You have to get up at 5 a.m. every day or whatever. And you just want to keep doing it because you're like, I know what tomorrow looks like.
Yeah.
But like your life could be different or better.
Yeah.
Your brain automatically goes to the negative. Like, oh, like I could, if I leave this job, I'm going to lose my paycheck. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose whatever. It never goes to like, but what if everything works out?
Yeah.
You know, like what if it all works in your favor and it's even better than you can imagine.
And even if it doesn't,
At least you tried.
I
you
will-
came into the world with nothing.
I will say though, anytime that I've personally taken that risk, it always has been the best case scenario.
Yeah.
It's not been easy, but once you get through it, it's always been worth it every single time.
Yeah.
We
it
have a golden
pays off.
retriever now. Yeah.
Yeah. She's not very smart, but
She's not very smart.
But she's cute.
But no, that's very true. That's very
Yeah.
true. There's no, you just got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes.
Yeah.
And the more
Sometimes
you
just get
do
the biscuit.
it, the more, I don't want to say it gets easier, but you start feeling familiar with the risk feeling, you know?
you
It
start
doesn't
feeling familiar with the unfamiliar.
it doesn't feel
Yeah.
as like or it doesn't feel like you're as frozen because it's like, okay, we've done this a million times before. We've always turned out okay. And it's
Yeah.
like, if it, like you said earlier, it might not turn out okay, and that's fine too. Like,
Yeah.
we'll navigate and move forward, you know?
Yeah, and the biggest fear I feel in that case is just like, what are other people gonna think if it doesn't work out?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that having that fear of man.
Yeah.
But
In reality, no one cares. No one's
That's
looking.
they're
whole-
occupied
that's
with
a-
their own
Yeah.
thing. You
That's
know?
a
It's
whole
just like they're
podcast.
in fear for their own thing.
No
I
one's
feel
wa-
like we could do a whole podcast
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
on that, on people's opinions of you and how, not you, but anyone, and how it affects like your decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, like I said, in reality, nobody cares. They're worried about themselves. They don't-
Exactly.
And if they do care, then hey, you got a fan, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Which I say that
Yeah.
and like something that I'm still like working on, but because it can be really easy to like it's a constant pep talk almost that you need to keep giving yourself and be like, hey, just do what's right in God's eyes and don't worry about the rest.
That's what I
the
did
only
with
thing
it.
that
I mean, even with the podcast, like starting this,
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm going to get like a few episodes in and then quit. Then people are going to think it's stupid. Like, there he is, another podcast starting up. But at the end of the day, it's like, one, no one's probably going to watch it. So no one's going to care. And even if we like do it and fail and like decide it's not for us, like we have all these cool conversations,
Exactly.
like cemented
For memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think that I have to tell myself, I have to fight that like every day. I think everyone probably does, but that, you know, like that, I guess it's called spotlight syndrome, where you just feel like everyone's watching your every move, and
Yeah.
that the second you
Well, are they not?
you tumble, that it's like someone's just going to be there to
Yeah.
point it out or judge or laugh or whatever. Not laugh, but I just think that that's a really that's a very normal feeling. And if everyone is worried so much about themselves, then like how do they have time to worry about anybody
Yeah.
else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've done, I guess, 2 rounds now of being employed full time and then like also freelance.
Yeah.
What are some pros and cons to freelance versus full time work?
As a creative, that's
Besides
a really
like the
good-
obvious, like, oh, you get a consistent paycheck or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
like what, like for you specifically, like what do you like about both?
As far as freelancing, I'll start with cons. I think mental health wise, it's definitely not the healthiest because, you know, things can be inconsistent and you just kind of get into this like dark place in your head. Like we talked about, like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? And you constantly have to just go back to, hey, like it's worked out so far and it's going to work out. And if it doesn't, I'll be fine, you know? But you get to have so many adventures freelancing because it's almost like your calendar is open to take on these like wild, most at odd times projects, you know, whether that be going to a weird place during like a weekday or working late hours and into the morning. And
You got to go to Italy.
yeah, I did. And it's just like a really cool thing to be able to do for work, you know?
You never
just-
know what tomorrow's going to look like.
Exactly. Yeah. You go there and you're just like, I mean, when I freelanced, I didn't know it was going to take me to Italy. It was going to get me on, you know, have me on a dock crew, being able to travel. And
Yeah.
it's just really cool. And then just the connections that you make, it gets you real close to God.
Surprisingly, being freelance, though, I feel like this is the part that people don't talk about. You're very alone. I mean, a lot of the time,
Oh, very much.
like alone physically, but also like in your head alone.
Yeah.
And I think that there's because you're not working with a team, or if you are, it's different teams every time or
Yeah.
something. And I
They're
think
one-man
that
business.
there's definitely a lot to be said about it's hard not to get in your head when you're just like
Yeah.
in your head all the time. Like
Yeah.
it's just you in your office in front of your computer.
I think it works so well for us because we have each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I know like it's for you, that had to have been pretty
Yeah.
difficult. Like to
Well,
not,
I had you guys too.
yeah.
Don't be so selfish. Okay. No, it's great. Cause like, yeah, I mean, during like whatever tough times I was having, like y'all would be gracious enough to stay up until 5 a.m. have conversations. Which
Always.
is amazing.
Yeah.
we needed that too, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
I
hard
feel
by
like-
yourself, but I think that's why it's important to find community, especially in
Yeah.
like the creative world. If you get a bunch of freelancers together,
Yeah.
then start a community that you can bounce ideas off of each other,
Yeah.
or like just know that you're not alone and feeling like, man, everything, like nothing's coming in. Everything feels like
Because
it's
it
not working.
looks like everybody else is crushing it,
It
and
does.
you're not.
Ooh,
Oh man,
yeah.
that's
Right?
That's another
we got a lot of
podcast.
topics here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. That's
we've
some.
gone through so many
Yeah.
phases that we've had to just honestly on like either get off Instagram or just mute like everyone on Instagram
Yeah.
to where because we were feeling so discouraged
Yeah.
because there's days that it just is like every day your best friends that you love and support and you're like proud of
Yeah.
are on a new set. They've got another job. They've got something going for them and you're at home like waiting for a phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that can be you want to talk about getting in your head.
Yeah,
And we all have those same friends that we see.
Yeah,
All of us.
everyone's killing it. But I mean,
And then it's like the next day you're on a set posting
Yeah.
and making someone else feel that way. Not on purpose, but
but
Yeah.
I will say being on that side of it has made me more conscious of like what I post and like why I post it. But even like with like the film festival thing,
Yeah.
posting the failures and not only posting the successes, because in this job and in this business, failure is more common than success. I feel like you're going to get a lot more no's than you're going to get yeses. Even when
Yeah.
it comes down to clients or getting into festivals or whatever it is, more people are going to tell you no than yes.
And that's a great thing to realize too, because then that'll put you on a highway to
What
just
is
success.
What is it that you said? I forgot who said it. Maybe it might have been Gary Vee. But what if someone told you that you had 25 no's before
to
you
get to your
that one yes, you would try to get to those failures. You would try to get to those as fast as you possibly could.
Yeah.
Because you know, like right on the other side of that is going to be your biggest
like
success.
if you were only, I think it's if you were only 25 failures away from your next win, like you would get through those 25 failures in a day. You're like, let me fail really quick because I know there's a win on the other side. But you could also be like, I'm going to give up on failure number 19, but you don't know that you're like only, 6 more away.
Even if it was 1,000 failures,
Yeah.
you would try to get through them even faster because you know, like
there's a win on the other side.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. I think that like as long as you don't give up and you're consistent with anything, whether it's
that's any industry.
fitness,
Yeah.
camera
No
stuff,
such thing as a failure.
everything.
If you don't stop. That sounds so cheesy,
I
but
remember,
it's true.
That's very true.
I remember growing up and wanting to do camera stuff, and people would always ask me, "What's your plan B?" And I'm like, "Well, you only have a plan B if you give up."
Yeah.
I don't remember if I told the story on the podcast already before, but I have like that specific story about I was working at a video rental store as a
kind of.
It was
Sweeney
off-brand.
Sweeney version.
Sweeney Blockbuster?
Sweeney version.
Buster?
It was like owned by the grocery store.
Oh, okay.
I think I was 16. I'm pretty sure I had my driver's license. I don't know. But it was a time when like everyone's picking what colleges they want to go to, whatever. Sure. And this older guy came into the store to rent a movie or something. And he was asking me like, have you decided what college you want to go to? What's your major? And I told him, and at the time I had that like innocent excitement when you're like, I'm going to be a photographer. I was just so excited to talk about it. And it was one of the first times that I was met with like, it wasn't this guy's fault. He didn't know he impacted my life.
It was his fault.
Like this. But he was like, oh, like, what are you going to minor in? Or what are you going to do like when that doesn't work out? I don't think he meant to be rude.
Is that what minors are for? When people go to college?
I think he just meant like, what's your backup plan?
Oh, okay.
Interesting. And I think it was like, that was one of those like pivotal moments for me because I was just met with like, what do you mean? There is no backup plan. Like this is the only option. And I felt sad, but I also felt kind of like, I guess shocked that anyone would even consider. It was just like a huge, that was for me at that age, it was just a huge thing. Cause I was like, I never thought that. Like, should I think that? Like I kind of panicked a little bit. Luckily I never made a backup plan and I just still to this day don't have a backup.
Still keep going. Even though still to this day, there are days when it gets very dark that I'm like, is it time? Like, should I give it up? I'll have like an hour of that and then I'm back on it. I'm like,
but I think that's also normal to talk about because it's like, you can do it your whole life and you can be successful and talented and you could be like winning an Oscar one day and the next day be like, I suck.
I think
like, I think that's a very normal.
Like, I couldn't physically do anything else. Like, even if I were to say, like, you know what, I'm giving all this up. I'll go get a normal job, and at that normal job, I'll just still be thinking about this. Like, I don't think I could ever physically quit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were your parents pretty supportive, like with you not going to school or college? I mean, and like doing this whole thing as a job or as a career?
Kind of, but not really.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like, you got this, go do it. There was definitely like, oh, you should go to college or take college classes just in case things don't work out. And that went on really from like the time that I moved out until probably really 2023, 2024.
Recently, like a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which totally understand. Like it comes from a place of love. And, if I was a parent, I definitely would be like, hey, like make sure you're good, taken care of too, But I think more and more they kind of start to see that there is a future in all of this. And I think people are starting to see that more and more as the years go on and social media and content is just like ramping up, and more and more they've been supportive, and it's they'll like any work that I do, they'll put on the TV, watch at home. It's really
that's
really
cool.
sweet.
So much of it is also personality because like you said, everyone's parents, when they love you, like it's coming from a place of like it's support, but it's also like, I'm afraid of you failing, because they care about you and they love you. But I think that if a kid is all in about something, it doesn't matter if it's like social media, it could literally be like, I'm passionate about Legos, whatever.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is, if they're willing to work hard at it, literally nothing can stop them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's the biggest thing that I've seen a pattern in parents kind of like seeing their kid in a new light. Like, oh my gosh, like look how hard they're working.
Yeah.
Like at anything, you know, like maybe they're passionate about landscaping, whatever.
Well, look at the like all the people getting crazy on Twitch now.
But it's
And
like,
we all got told not to play video
Yeah.
games
Yeah,
as a
like
kid.
but it's
lazy,
like if
yeah.
it's not a place, if it's not coming from a place of laziness, and you see that initiative,
Yeah.
like you see the kid is putting in the work, like they're doing their research, they're talking to mentors, they're like putting the time in, like even if it's video games, you know, they're like doing the work. I think it's cool because I think parents start seeing like they're taking this really serious. You know, it's different
Yeah.
than just like, oh, they just don't want to go to school or something.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
teaches you a lot about like parenting too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I hope to be a dad one day, and that teaches me so much about just like how I would want to be supported in those moments, and how I'd want to be communicated to in those moments. You know, with love, and not necessarily like shutting things down, which my parents didn't do. But yeah, it just gives you more clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And wait, we can talk about it, right? Like it's been
Yeah.
announced already.
Yeah.
You guys
Is
are
it?
gonna be parents.
Oh no.
Surprise. Well, it's
I'm gonna be
official.
most of all.
It's Instagram.
Most
official.
importantly, I'm gonna be an uncle.
You're gonna be uncle.
Yeah,
Your first
More importantly.
nephew or niece.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's out there.
Dang.
We are officially today. We posted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get some. Since it's out now, how do
Yeah.
y'all feel? We can go first.
Oh my gosh.
That's a loaded question.
it's out now,
Terrified,
yeah.
excited. I mean, overjoyed. I'm so happy, but it's
releasing a trailer for your film.
yeah. Just listing every
The
emotion
biggest
that
trailer of your
exists.
life.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anyone is like, it's normal to feel terrified of the unknown, which is
Sure.
crazy because so many things that we've talked about in our creative careers, a lot of it mirrors a lot of the same feelings when it's like something's new and uncomfortable and scary.
That's the biggest thing is like, you know, we're both like, I don't want to say like older, but yeah, a lot of our friends have already had kids and they've got like 5 to 10-year-old kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much worried about like, oh, like financially, are we going to be able to handle it or this or that? It's more of like our lifestyle as an entrepreneur because we travel so much and our schedule is so inconsistent. How are we going to like balance that? That's my biggest worry, I guess, is like how to balance the entrepreneur life with a baby, especially like a newborn.
Yeah.
And before they're like in school and everything.
Luckily, we have a lot of friends and family close by that are
There's
so
several-
excited to help.
Yeah, and there's people that I look up to, like our friends Wade and Hope King, the ones I just showed you. They do that, and they travel a lot more, and they run a multi-million-dollar business across the country, and they have Maverick, and that's one of my biggest, like, I guess, influences to parenting is like seeing how they parent. It's really cool. But I'm excited. I'm really excited. It's cool. I have my little buddy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like you
A
have
built-in bestie.
Yeah.
you have people to reach out to
Yeah.
that have the experience and are doing it well to be able to be like, hey.
Yeah. And like we were talking earlier, Todd and his wife, how they, you know, their kids just seem so cool and he lives a creative life. So a lot of people like that we look up to that I'm like, if they can do it, we can do it.
Yeah.
I think it's
cool,
just
baby.
it's just navigating. Like I just keep saying, like, take it a day at a time. That's like how we live our lives.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what tomorrow is going to look like in our jobs, in our traveling, no one technically knows what tomorrow's going to look like in life in general. But I think I'm just going to kind of treat it with that same sort of like, it's the ultimate. It's just faith. Like it's just the ultimate, like walking in the unknown. You know, and treating it like I'm just taking a step at a time and not trying to predict the future because old me was pretty bad about that.
Trying to control the future.
Trying to control and like trying to avoid like stumbling or avoid anything ever going wrong. And I think that in the last, I'd say especially the last year, I've just done a lot of growing and a lot of like letting go of the reins. For someone like me, I've always struggled with being a control freak and like wanting everything to be perfect. I think that just comes from like my family dynamic and stuff growing up and a lot of siblings and a really loud like argumentative, crazy family that I love, but like always just trying to hold everything together, you know?
Yeah.
Like, hey, like, don't yell at this person, or like with
Yeah,
my
being the
siblings,
glue.
you know, or yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that having that background, I brought that on into life and then into working with a team with Alpha Lead and just always trying to like control to avoid a problem, you know,
Yeah.
like avoid a problem before it's a problem or put out
Sure.
the fires. So I think that recognizing that and then letting go of it is like the biggest, I can't explain the amount of like stress that just like weight
I
lifted
will
off
say,
my shoulders.
like, this whole pregnancy, she's been like very just
Go with the
whatever with
flow.
it. Yeah. She's had so many people that are like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Or were you going to like, what kind of sheets are you going to give the baby? What kind of like this and that? She's like, I don't know. We're going to figure it out. You know,
Yeah.
like
That's great.
versus I feel like before
Mhm.
in your previous mindset, you would have like been very stressed
Yeah.
and very like, not like
I
trying to
was
get it all
always
together, but
stressed.
yeah, like mentally you had been very stressed about it. And now
Yeah, it's such a
you've been
huge
more like happy and
relief.
relaxed.
Just to, yeah, I just feel it doesn't mean that things can and won't go wrong, but just knowing that it's not in my control anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it's like duh when you say that out loud, like duh, you don't control life. But like whenever you live in that false sense of control, you think you can control things and avoid things, you know. And then when
Yeah.
things go wrong, you feel like you failed because you're like, oh, I should have avoided this problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think, yeah, it's a huge weight lifted off because every day I'm just like treating it truly. Like I just always say, like I'm riding the wave. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like sitting on a paddleboard in the ocean, just
Yeah.
like
'Cause-
taking it one wave at a time, kind of.
Yeah. And our responsibility is just like manage well what you've been trusted with.
Yeah.
And just focus on that. Not necessarily trying to like control every single aspect of every single thing.
Yeah.
That's like the
then-
theme of everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
weaved into like our creativity, into
Yeah.
like our finances and like clients. I mean, into everything.
Your business, everything. Yeah.
Relationships, you know, with friends or whatever. It's just like recognizing if you always do the right thing that you know is right in your heart and you're always honest, then like, yes, things are going to, like problems are going to always be there. But when they get there, you can fix it and move forward, you know,
Deal with
instead of just always being on edge. Like, what if something goes wrong?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the worst place to be.
Yeah.
Walking on eggshells.
Yeah, that was me for the majority of my life. I mean, I still struggle with it, but I think that I'm like, I can feel myself recognizing it and
Yeah.
seeing when those things like come out and be like, okay, no, you don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So now, currently, you are with Bear Performance Nutrition, BPN.
Yeah.
Dang, you said the formal name.
I know the biblical name.
The biblical name. That's crazy.
How's it going? How long have you been there now? A month or two?
I think little under 2, if not 2. It's been great. It's been really great. I mean, they make some of the best like storytelling content. I mean, the whole roster of athletes do such incredible things, and the stories are just like there, and you just get to tell them. It's such a blessing, and the guys there are just so talented. Oops, they're so talented.
That's what I was going to ask. How does it feel working with a new team? Like a new team, meaning you got so familiar with working with like our crew here.
Yeah.
And it's like when you're starting over from scratch and you're the outsider, you know? Like, how does
Yeah.
that feel?
So, okay. I feel like when you look at BPN, right, you think, oh, these like, rightfully so, like these badass people that go after badass things. And you'd think of the media team being these like very, what would you call it? Like high maintenance, just like very proper people with like glasses to study film and stuff. But it's just a bunch of dudes that make fart noises in the office. And it's just
That's the best stuff.
yeah, no, it's amazing. And we have so much fun. Like I laugh every single day in the office so hard. And then when it's time to lock in, everyone's just, you know, with their headphones and just like focusing on whatever they're doing. And it's really cool that there isn't like a feeling of, oh, I'm gonna try and like be the best on the team and just like make stuff better than everyone else. It's a very supportive team of and community of creators that just like uplift one another and give so much compliments on like whatever piece that they worked on, and in the best way possible, like relay any sort of things that they thought would have made the story better, would have made the piece better. And it's just a very healthy environment to be in, I feel, to grow as a filmmaker and just like be in that community. And also a lot of them are godly men, which I'm so grateful for, to be around godly men that also love film. So
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. I feel like whenever you told us that they were looking to hire someone, I was like, man, you would do so well in that environment. I feel like just having like you said, a team of people around you that they're like-minded. You can bounce ideas off of each other. And even from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem like anyone's like really competitive there.
Yeah.
I will say, like, here in Houston, things felt pretty competitive.
Yeah.
And it's a very toxic thing to fall into.
Yeah.
But there,
Yeah, you have to be really careful
Yeah.
not to. I mean, and I feel like when other people around you feel competitive, you can't help but feel like a little bit like your guard's up.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
yeah,
And I think that it's so refreshing whenever you do work with people who are like, no, we're all in this together. Like we're on the
Exactly.
same team working towards the same goal. I
Yeah.
think that's like you can't put a price on that.
yeah. And it's cool that you get to experiment with like new gear,
Yeah.
new personalities, new athletes, not even just like new athletes, but new types of athletes,
Yeah.
I guess, outside of just bodybuilding.
Yeah.
It's like marathon runners, ultra runners.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know. BPN has such a wide roster.
Yeah.
Russ is on there. So like
Yeah.
power lifters.
Yeah.
What is your favorite project so far that y'all have done?
Projects so far.
I guess in the 2 months you've
Favorite
been
project
there.
that I've done so far. As far as something that I got to work on and just kind of like take the lead on an edit was the Kane shoes collab with BPN. That was really fun. Because it was just like beautiful footage that they just like served to me on a silver platter, and I said, all right, let's take a crack at this. And my first cut was definitely like a bit too much for BPN's style and tone of voice. So I had to kind of dial it back a little bit, which I did end up posting like both versions on my page to kind of like see what people like, just out of curiosity. But that was a really cool one. And just being able to go on these shoots with these like crazy athletes that do these like crazy things.
That's such a cool learning opportunity as a creative for anyone to be able to kind of like work with different brands and learn, like what you said, a tone,
Yeah.
whether it's based on the brand identity or based on like whatever the target market is or whatever. And I think that there's so much to be said about you bring like talent and skill to the table, but you also, it's your job as an editor or as a shooter or whatever your role is to be able to say, I know how to make this vision come to life in the style or in the tone that is needed. And I think that that's hard. That's really hard to do.
That's really our job, right? Like with the documentary for Christian, like if you hadn't conveyed what he's going through and the type of person that he is, it wouldn't have done the story justice.
Yeah.
So our job is to really hone in on that and just be able to tell that as clearly as possible, and being
in a
there,
language that people understand, like
Exactly,
for whoever's watching.
yeah, people who don't know bodybuilding, like being able to come in and understand and be invested in it, you know. And over the 2 months, I feel like these like layers are being peeled off my eyes. I'm just able to see more clearly and more objectively, like, okay, how do I tell the story in the voice of this? Because like, man, BPN's very clear on the mission that it's on, and who like if the brand was a person, who would it be? What would they like? What kind of coffee would they drink? How would they dress? You know, what kind of movies would they watch? What kind of music would they listen to? Figuring out all those things and being able to understand the relationship between the brand and the consumer. Like, who's our consumer and how do we speak to them? Like, they have that figured out over the years of just like figuring out building the brand.
That's my favorite part of working with brands,
Yeah.
especially brands that have that clear understanding, because that's it's like hard to put into words, but there's such a big gap. There's so many brands that don't have that, and they don't know that. They're like, who are we?
Yeah.
Like, not only what do we stand for, because anyone can have like a mission statement, but it's like, no, like, how do we live this out? Like day in and day out, where every action is like leading towards this is who we are, you know? Yeah.
And it's
That's
such
amazing.
a superpower to have that clarity, because then that helps me as a creative to be able to come in and take the stories of the athletes and be able to tell it, in the voice of BPN and communicate effectively to the consumers, to where they are on the same mission and do get inspired and can understand that they can do these crazy, extraordinary things that these athletes are doing. It's really cool.
And going back to what we said earlier about doing something scary, it was scary for you to take the opportunity to move.
Oh yeah.
Like I mean, not that you were here for a short time, but like after you formed this community here.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the perfect example of a time that it's like doing the uncomfortable thing and then seeing an immediate, like, this was worth it.
Sure.
I don't mean worth it in the sense of like, oh, my life, this is my life forever. I mean, like, you already have learned, like, if you left today, you learned from it,
Oh yeah.
And I think that's that's like what we were saying earlier,
Yeah.
just in being like, do the scary thing,
Yeah.
because you're gonna learn from it no matter what.
Mm-hmm. What are some projects that y'all are working on that you're excited for that
That
you can talk about?
Yeah, this coming week, we're going to Marfa. I can't talk about exactly for what, but we're going out to Marfa to shoot some stuff. I'm super excited off of just the places.
Your first time to West Texas?
First time there, and it just looks so beautiful.
That's where those photos were taken.
These
Oh,
are
yeah.
in Marfa or Big
Yeah.
Bend, right?
Yeah, that one is Big Bend,
Yeah,
and
that
then
one's
this
in Marfa.
one's Marfa. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if those are on camera.
Yeah.
That one is on that one.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
It's so cool out there. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see your shots from there, because
I'm pumped.
everywhere out there is just like
Yeah.
a scene.
I'll be
It's so
droning.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Be making No Country for Old Men Part 2.
Basically. Yeah.
Go one more for old men.
Go one more for old men. That's crazy. No, I'm really excited for that. We're just going out for the week and
Yeah.
capturing a bunch of beautiful stuff.
What's the BPN secret? Everyone wants to know.
BPN secret in terms of what?
Creative.
The secret sauce.
What's the
In
secret
terms of
sauce?
creative?
Yeah. No, I think you nailed it though. Being authentic and knowing
Yeah.
exactly who their people are, and
Have a clear vision.
Yeah.
I think one thing that Ian, who's on the media team, shared with me a couple days ago was he said a lot of people will try and make a piece that makes other creatives, other editors and stuff go, wow, like that was mind blowing. Like that was so cool. And that's sort of a prideful thing to do where you're just like seeking the attention for yourself. And this is something that he said he does and has learned that makes him a better storyteller. Put that aside and just focus on how can I tell the story better instead of trying to be like the flashiest and like most, eyes on thing that you can make. Just tell the story effectively and do it so well that people are actually invested in it, like emotionally, and can go along for that ride and just experience it with you. And that's like a job well done, and not these like, whoa, like mind blown, like crazy transition edits.
I see those edits and I fully agree with that. And I'll see people that they're shooting for a brand and it looks like they're dropping a preset pack or a transition pack.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like, whether it's clothing or whatever, it doesn't look like it's for a brand. It looks like you're marketing to editors or you're marketing to filmmakers. And I agree with that 100%. I think that's...
Well, it's like, yeah, you said it perfectly. Or like boiling it down to, are you making these decisions for the sake of the piece, of the final piece? Or are you making these decisions for yourself? Meaning, like, does this make me look better as a creative? Or does this make the piece better?
Exactly,
and sometimes
yeah.
those are different outcomes, you know? And I think that we all have like suffered from wanting to impress other creatives because that's our community, you know.
Absolutely,
Like we've
yeah.
all suffered from being like, oh, are other photographers gonna love my lighting?
Well,
Are
I feel like
are other people gonna think this is like beautiful color grading?
I
you
feel
know?
like you see something that another creative does and it gets your attention and you're like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And so you throw it into like whatever brand thing you get, but not thinking like maybe that doesn't serve the brand.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
you
Think
know.
about the person on the other side that's watching it.
Mhm.
Like, what do you want them to take away from this?
Yeah.
And is the decision that you're making gonna drive them in the
Yeah.
right direction?
Because something can look cool
Yeah.
or like impress people, but it could be a distraction from the story
Very
or
much.
from the source, you know, like what I think, and I think I've talked about this before too, but having a goal, you'd think that'd be so simple. It's not. Like having a goal for the piece, like whether that's a film, it could be like a documentary, it could be short form, it can be a single photo, like have a goal for it. And it's like, what goal is this supposed to fulfill, you know?
Yeah.
And that sometimes, most of the time, people don't think in that format. And it's like, you're just shooting something to look cool. And it's
Yeah.
like, how can you know if you succeeded or failed at creating something if you don't know what the outcome was supposed to be from
Yeah.
the beginning, you know?
Which,
Exactly.
on the flip side, maybe your goal is to stop people in their tracks from scrolling.
Sometimes that is the
You know,
goal.
maybe you want flash just because you're just like, I got to get
A
people to
demo
stop and
reel
look.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that can't be your only trick. You can't just
Yeah.
like hit everyone with this flashy stuff and just expect
Yeah.
that it's going to sell whatever product you're trying to sell.
Yeah. If you want to make timeless pieces
Yeah.
that are gonna
Yeah.
live on, and
And-
it's just a piece of you. You know?
I still think, I mean, like, cause I'm all old school stuck in my ways, but I'm growing now to where I'm like, we do live in a different time and people are scrolling and they're passing up stuff a lot easier now. So it's like, how can you marry the two worlds where you have call it flash or whatever you want to
You're
call
getting
it.
someone's attention.
Yeah. To make them stop scrolling, but then also pay attention to your story.
Yeah.
Story is always going to be key and number one, but how do you make them stop
Yeah.
and pay attention?
Yeah, because if you lean only one side or only the other, you fail on both, you know? Because if you're all flash, then there's no story. And if you're all story, then no one might see it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you don't have anything that visually is like eye candy, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like you can make the most incredible story, but it's like, wouldn't you rather thousands of people see that because it's entertaining, or would
Yeah.
you rather just one person watch it because everyone's like, that's boring?
Yeah.
Yeah. But BPN stuff is so good. And everyone, I think they're leading the game right now, or you guys are leading the game. In
I just came on. I can't really take credit for it, but
Now
They're-
you're a part of
I mean,
you're a part of
they're-
it though.
yeah,
now.
I
very
mean,
blessed.
BPN
yeah.
is leading the game in, I think, online marketing. Anytime you bring them up or you say anything, they're always like the number one inspiration. So
There's a lot of respect
yeah.
too. I think that the authenticity, like you said, there's just like an air of respect
Yeah,
around
yeah.
a brand and company, because I think people know that it's good people making good things.
yeah.
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 And I think that that's like a great place for you to be
Yeah.
because of that. Like it's not about, like you said earlier, it's not about self. It's about the community and about getting the story out there. And I think that shows more than ways just in the marketing. I think that's in the people there. And I haven't even met anybody there, but you can just tell like how it's
Yeah.
ran.
He's like, we're so proud.
Yeah. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from what you've told us.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, no, it's such a blessing to be around those guys, and I mean, it's taken time to get to that level of understanding the brand and the consumer and whatnot. But
And they're lucky to have you. I think
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes everyone is like this, but you're extremely talented. And sometimes we're our own worst critic.
And you bring good energy to the set, to shoots.
Absolutely. Like
And you're going to
aside from how I used to talk too much, but fix
talk
that.
too much.
Yeah,
it's just when you get on your hyper.
I just get so excited
Oh.
to be on set.
Hey, I'll take that energy on set any day
Yeah.
over like doom and gloom or like somebody complaining.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's real fun.
Seen any good movies lately?
Oh yeah.
Seeing good movies lately.
I like to end it on like a
Yeah. Yeah. Have you been to the movies?
like a movie review.
I saw The Chosen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Theaters.
Haven't
They've
seen that
been
yet.
releasing like 2 episodes a month until they release it on streaming services.
Nice.
And budget's definitely kicked up. You can tell. You can definitely tell. A lot more extras, a lot more better glass and better cameras. I mean,
Yeah.
even in the behind the
Well,
scenes
you
stuff,
don't have
can tell.
your AMC thing anymore.
I
We used to
don't.
always go to the movies together like
Yeah.
every week. So we lost our movie
Also,
going buddy.
you went to the film festival with us
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Glow. What'd you think about that?
That was really cool.
It was your second
second one after
Yeah.
Fort Worth.
Well, we went to our first film festival ever to go to and to get in was you came to that one
Was
too.
that the Fort Worth one?
Yeah, the Fort
Yeah.
Worth one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Fort Worth.
I remember,
Sorry to say.
it's hard to say. I remember whenever we were there, you were sitting in the row behind me and you were like, I'm so nervous for whatever reason. Like,
I
Yeah.
get nervous
Yeah.
every time.
It's like a 5-minute short.
yeah,
We're just so
Well,
nervous.
it's like very vulnerable to sit in a room with people watching something you made.
a bunch of strangers.
Yeah.
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 That you
Big
don't know
screen.
how they're
Yeah.
going to react.
What are they gonna think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but-
no, it was really cool. I mean, it's not often that, aside from just like hanging out with friends and stuff, it's not often that you get together with a bunch of strangers that also do what you love doing, and seeing their work. I mean, some of the work, I was like, holy crap, this is like amazing. It's really cool to see and be around them, and also sets a fire under your butt to be like, okay, like we're doing this, you know,
Yeah.
like the community is here. in
Yeah, that's
Houston.
one of my favorite things that I love about, like, I guess film festivals and narrative film is it's not competitive. Like, everyone grows together. So the people that you're in festivals with now and that you're like doing that, you're all growing together
Yeah.
and helping each other out, because
You all have something to learn
Yeah, there's
from
not
each
like-
other.
you're not going to get to the top and be
Yeah.
like, this is the only movie that's ever going to get made. It's like, no, like every week there's more movies coming out. So there's
Yeah.
like, we're all
Or,
working
yeah,
on
like
each other's,
this is the only good movie ever.
we're all working on each other's movies. So it's like, there's no need to be competitive. And
Yeah.
that's what,
Because
one
no
of the
two
things-
people can tell the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's very encouraging to see that you're not alone doing it. Like you said, like you get lonely, you know,
Yeah.
in the process.
The very first film festival, well, I think we've been to a film festival before we had one in it. Right?
No, Fort Worth was the first one I think we went to.
Well, I just remember feeling like, wait, other people do this? Like,
Yeah.
like, I know that sounds crazy, but it's like making a short film, especially when you're just self-funding it and it's like not really for anything other than
Sure.
just to learn. It feels so like, especially, I don't know, it just feels like no one does this. Like, I don't know anyone that's ever done this. No one around me, my neighbors aren't doing this. Like, it just feels so like weird.
Yeah.
And I think when you go to a place where everyone in the room has done that, you're like, what? Like,
yeah, y'all
like
are
all
weird
the-
like me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the best way. It's like
Yeah.
all these people in here had this idea and picked up a camera and like made a film that they
Mhm.
didn't have to make. It's the most like, that's my favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Is just feeling like, oh my gosh, like these people are also crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's such gold though. Like
Yeah.
when you find a story that you're so passionate about, like wanting to get it out there,
Mm-hmm.
it's such a blessing.
Mhm.
And I mean, a lot of us hate on our own work so much. And something that I've learned is just like, dude, like be present in your work.
Mhm.
Like be in it, you know, because like you're just doing it a disservice if you're like
Tearing it
doing
apart.
on this, working on this, and thinking about like future, like oh, like hopefully one day I'll get to be on these like big sets, do these big films and all these things. But like you're doing this now, you're working on this now, so like
We
be
just talked about
present,
that.
Yeah.
stay in it, you know, like give
Yeah.
it your all.
That's hard, especially when you have like, for me anyways, it's hard when you have a vision of what doing it looks like, you know, like,
Yeah, we just talked about that because, like, we were like, okay, when you make a short film or whatever and compare it to making something on like a bigger budget, it
Yeah,
could be another short or a feature or whatever. It's like, it's all the same stuff. It's still a camera, it's still a light, it's still a C-stand.
yeah,
Like, the camera might be different, there might be more lights.
yeah.
mhm.
It's like there might be more people on set, but it's still a set. And
Yeah.
it's like
And you're still
just
making a
having
film.
You
just having
glorify it.
more lights make it real. No, you know, it's like
Yeah.
you have to, like you said it perfectly. Like be present and recognize like I'm doing this to the best of my ability right now, and it's
Yeah.
no less special or important than it will be down the road one day
Yeah.
whenever it's, you know, like a huge studio or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, you glorify it,
Mm-hmm.
and then, I mean, the moment that we had over here after shooting like the road scene after Glow, and we graded the
Watched all the
footage and
footage.
like put like the Interstellar song over it, and just watching it back, it was like, holy crap, like
I forgot
this
about
looks
that.
and feels like a movie.
Yeah, we did
know?
it. Yeah.
I forgot that we
right over at the couch.
rewatched.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that with Todd because then we put his songs that he made on it. Yeah, it's crazy when those moments like come together, and it's hard. I just went past Robert Rodriguez. I always bring him up, but he just did a podcast and he was talking about that because we were talking about this at that same time. Like, when do you call yourself a filmmaker? And because he was saying like, so many people make the mistake of calling themselves an aspiring filmmaker, and you'll always be an aspiring filmmaker if you call yourself that. It's like, no, like set the title and then live up to that title.
Yeah. He was like, stop aspiring.
Yeah,
Todd sent us that too.
Stop aspiring. And I struggle with that a lot because like, like I said, I had this false expectation of what it is when you're a filmmaker.
Sure.
And now I'm starting to be like, I don't know, those moments in the field or the moments at the film festivals and stuff like that. It's like, okay, non-filmmakers don't have those, or that's like a feeling filmmakers have.
Yeah, it's like, is this a film? Yes. Are you making it? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
But and it doesn't have to come from a festival. You can do it, uploading your film that you shot on your iPhone on YouTube. That's a film.
Exactly. Like Pony Smasher filming a short, with his wife at home. Boom. All these like crazy deals he gets, which like you don't necessarily do for the deals, but for, being able to work on these like cool projects and just like for the love of it.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. It can happen from like your next project.
Yep. You never know.
You just keep going.
You could be 3 failures away from your big break, quote
That's
unquote
true.
big break, or we could just be living in the good old days right now. You never know.
And I'm okay
you're
with
always
that.
in the good old days.
Yep.
Like, that's what I told him. I think when we had that conversation, at the time, I think we were like, this should be a podcast. We should be filming this.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm okay if this is all we ever do.
Yeah, me too. I am too. And I feel like
I just love what we do so much. Like, it doesn't mean that you don't always want to grow and like level up.
But there is like a level of fear too, that it's like, there could be a time that comes where we get $100 million movie. The issues that are probably going to come along with that. And like the
stress.
We just started watching the Seth Rogen.
Oh, the promotion.
Yeah.
No.
The promotion?
What's it called?
I don't remember, but it's about like the Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's
The
so
studio.
good. The studio.
The studio, yeah.
Is it the studio?
I think it's the
Oh,
studio.
I think the promotion was the name of the episode.
Yeah. But it's like, I mean, obviously there's some really funny parts, but there's also moments in it where you're like, dang, this looks not fun.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
All the stress that comes
Because
along
it's a
with
business. Like those big studios are like, they don't care about making a good movie. They want to make money, and that's it. That's their main goal. And it's like, do I want to live in a world like that where it's like it's now just a business? But things are changing,
Yeah. It's like being a part of a business that's a startup, and then once it starts to get corporate, you're like, I don't know if I like this as much anymore.
Yeah.
So I think there's so much fun and good, and
I do think though, like
indie.
in the future, I mean, with apps like Tubi, obviously YouTube, stuff like that, it's like people are gonna start being able to get their work out there more and not have to go through the crazy studio system.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like YouTube alone, being able to just like make something and put it out there for so many people to see.
that's a platform
Crazy.
that like we didn't have when were growing up.
What's crazy, like the documentary, Christian's documentary, last I looked at it, it was at 77,000 views.
Wow.
Put 77,000 people in a room and play your movie in front of them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like
That's a lot
having
of
a platform
showtimes.
like that someone just has the ultimate freedom
Yeah.
to be able to make something and share it. I mean, that's something that, I think
And
that
no
we
one
take for
told us.
granted.
No one told us what to do with that. Like no one said like, oh, you should take this out, or you should put that in. Like we were able to just go in and make something that we loved, shoot it how we want to shoot it, and put it out there, and it got 77,000 eyes on it.
So
I'm sure
far.
learned a lot.
Yeah,
Learned a lot.
yeah, a lot.
That was a first, but it was great.
Yeah.
Well, Azamat, Mott John,
You.
Basmati.
thanks for coming.
Basmati.
Thanks for driving all the way down from Austin specifically to do this
Just for
podcast.
this.
You're like down and back in one day.
Yeah.
We got a busy man over here heading out to Marfa.
Yeah.
So
Head
we'll
back
wish him
tomorrow.
luck. By the time this comes out, when does the Marfa stuff drop?
Oh, not for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after this, keep an eye out on the VPN page
Always keep an eye on the VPN page.
and see this awesome stuff that Oz dropped,
Yeah.
or that Oz and his team shot.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be really cool. It's Everyone's like, everyone just does whatever it takes
Mhm.
to get the best,
To go one more.
to go on more.
I love it.
That's so good.
I couldn't miss the opportunity. It was just
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
there.
no, it was right there. Go one more, baby.
Nice. Thanks for joining. This is fun.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, we have these
We'll do it again.
conversations all the time, but it's fun to be able to I feel like we can know someone so well and still have like new things to learn or like new
Yeah.
perspectives to gain, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I'm
That's
always
great.
really grateful to have these conversations recorded. They're very special to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad y'all are doing this because it's like you guys get to talk to each other, about whatever struggles and whatnot. So that's
Feels like
super
a
helpful.
journal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like to me this is like super helpful too to be
Yeah.
able to just like
Yeah.
talk stuff out.
I'll definitely go back one day and be like, "Oh my gosh, those were some good
Yeah.
conversations."
And it's cool now that we're having the baby. I mean, how cool would it be to have your parents like
Oh yeah.
conversations with their closest people to go back and listen to and
Watch,
listen to their
yeah.
thoughts and stuff. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
cool this can be recorded.
That's
but-
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any
And
messages to your guys' future self
Ooh, that's good.
to end on?
how do you feel right now in this moment? On what is today?
What? That's hard.
April 5th, 2025. I forgot the day.
I feel grateful.
Grateful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If I had to say one word,
Same.
I mean, I
well,
could-
you don't have to say one word, but
I could talk for 30 minutes on
Yeah.
how I feel.
That's a good way of feeling.
yeah, feel grateful. And I don't know what the future looks like.
I would just
forward-
tell my future self, like, chill.
Yeah.
Chill.
I'm already like chilling, but like keep chilling, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. It's so crazy because, yeah, like imagine watching this a year from now. Like we're going to see everything that happens after April 5th, 2025.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that's going to look like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but I'm excited for it. I think
Yeah, a
it's gonna
week
be
from
good.
now, like our house could blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And then my future self, well, okay, I don't want that, but my future self would be like, chill.
I'm hoping,
Like everything's gonna be fine, you know?
yeah, at some point in the future, it brings us to Austin. We can all be together again.
That'd be
In the
great.
beautiful Texas Hill
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
We can live in a house together.
Oh yeah, we'll just
Party
make a
house.
compound.
You can be our babysitter.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Make like a lazy river.
I'll go back to freelancing so I can babysit.
Nice. Do you have a message for your future self?
Run the race well.
Well, I thought you said wild. That'd be cool too.
Oh,
That too.
Run the race wild.
wild and well.
Yeah. Both literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Maybe the Hobbit one. We'll see.
Oh,
I want to do it. 2026.
2026.
Is it a half or a full? You could do a full,
I think
right?
it's a half. It might be a full. I'm not sure.
Through the Hobbit
But
holes.
Y'all can do the full. I got to train. I got to lose some weight.
We're gonna run a half through the Hobbit holes in New
That'd be
Zealand.
crazy.
We all got to train.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a message for your future
I
self?
did. I said that. I already said mine.
What?
I said, I don't know what the future looks like, but I hope that it's, I don't even remember now.
I think I interrupted you.
Yeah. I don't, well, like right now I feel grateful, but I guess my message to my future self is to be, like you said, be present and slow down your brain a lot. Because my brain is right now is constantly running going with a bunch of things. So slow down.
Be a
It-
projector.
It ain't a race.
Yeah.
Be a projector. Film's running. You're looking at it frame by frame.
Yeah.
Don't worry about what's down there.
I love that
Be a
analogy.
projector.
Don't let the film run out.
That's
Yeah.
good. There's no finish line.
No.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a
Heck
good
yeah.
analogy right there. All right. That's a good one to end it on.
Right?
Thanks.
Thanks for
We
coming.
love you.
See you next time.
See you next time.